And on a field right in front of the headquarters in Fort Benning, we were living out there in tents, and the day we got our wings, our silver wings, we also were promoted to PFC. We were private first class in the battalion, and which was a very important moment in my life because I had my wings and I was promoted to PFC. And then we went after Benning, and we went to Camp McCall, North Carolina, which was a very large airborne base near Fort Bragg. And they had 2 divisions there actually at that time, and 3 airborne regiments. That's how many paratroopers were running around at Camp McCall. And we were there then we did our advanced unit training, which was very good, and had a great graduation exercise with a regimental parachute drop, and Air Force came in, and there was no Air Force, that was U.S. Army Air Force. But they dropped some bombs for us and showed us how the air element could support the ground element. Very interesting training. And we were sent to Tennessee that winter for some advanced maneuvering with the division size airborne. That was the 17th Airborne Division. And very bitter cold, wet, muddy, cold, and just rough weather in the mountains in Tennessee near Murfreesboro. And then we got the word in the middle of the night, I guess, we were taken off the exercise, sent back to Camp McCall, North Carolina, and we were going to go to overseas. They wouldn't tell us where, but they did need a airborne regiment, infantry regiment right away, parachute regiment. And then we found out we were locked in, and you couldn't go anywhere, and we were going to Italy. They had to go over to Italy. So they took us out of that division, 17th Airborne Division, and we then got ready to go overseas, some more training back at Camp McCall, and then went to Norfolk. And from the Norfolk harbor, we went overseas to Italy. And that's how I got started in the Army. Now, I was with that unit the entire war, Italy, France, Belgium, Germany, and same unit, same company, and so we were together for a long time. And I still had the same colonel. He was now a lieutenant colonel. He was the youngest colonel, battalion commander, parachute battalion commander in Europe at the time, in World War II. 26-year-old colonel. His name was Dick Seitz, and then we went through the war. I mean, we were in the Battle of the Bulge, and we were where they had the big airplane crash just recently in southern France, in the Maritime Alps. We were right in that same area. From August, we jumped there from Italy, got in airplanes in Italy, a town that we had taken, and then dirt strip, and the C-47s took us to Italy from there. And we jumped into France, and then we ended up on the French-Italian border, the Maritime Alps, above Nice and Monte Carlo, and we were there until late November, and then the war was not going to be over then. It looked like we had finished, the war in Europe. It was about to end. We thought the Germans were defeated, and we went to not Soissons. No, anyway, went to Soissons, and near Paris, and they were going to select one of the airborne regiments. Didn't know which one yet. They had all the airborne assembled there around Paris, and they were getting ready to pick one to be the President Eisenhower's personal bodyguard or guard in Berlin. But look, the war was going to end. And then in the middle of the night, now it's December, getting ready for Christmas, going to be picked, who's going to be the sharpest outfit to be picked to be General Eisenhower's honor guard. And the Berlin celebrations for the big victory in Europe, and they said, hey, something's happened up in Belgium. The Germans made a big attack, and we got to get up to Belgium right away. So we took us two days and 2 nights driving in trucks, open trucks, in the middle of the winter up to Belgium, and that's how we got into the Battle of the Bulge. And we were still fighting then into January, and then they took us back to France, and we were getting ready to jump the Rhine River. We were going to make that drop, and that was canceled. We stayed in the camp there for several weeks under the wings of the airplanes with our chutes and everything, but they couldn't drop us across the Rhine at one particular place we were going to drop, our drop zone, because the tanks were, the Patton's tanks were already there. The war was really going fast. Fumbling very fast, the German resistance. So they Then they were going to drop us in Norway, in Denmark first, to accept the surrender of the Germans there, and that didn't that turn out. And then the next thing you know, we were back in France again in the camp waiting to go home. It was May and the war was over. And they said, well, there's only, in my company, there were only 8 people eligible who had been back in Toccoa when we started the war. And you have an option. You can either go up to Berlin and join the 82nd Airborne, which has been selected to be the honor guard for General Eisenhower, or you can stay with the regiment. It's going to be assigned to the 13th Airborne Division, which had not been in combat, and they're going to go to Japan. And so we hung around at a camp there near the coast for another month or two, and then they finally got a ship. There was just not enough ships to take all the people home from Europe. And we finally got a ship, and then on the way home, halfway back to New York, and I forget the name of the ship that we were on, but they dropped the nuclear bombs in Japan, and there was no requirement for us in Japan. Mm-hmm. So we went to New York, and we went home, and they just let us stay home for a while because they couldn't get people out of the army fast enough. Mm-hmm. And they would put broadcast on the radio, national radio, and say, if you're in a certain group and you just left Fort Dix, that's where we were, Fort Dix, don't come back, just stay home. We'll tell you when to come to Fort Dix to be discharged. And in October I was discharged, and I was back in Long Island, and for over a year I was back, and then I was in the reserve. I joined the reserve because they were going to try to start an airborne unit in New York State.